So a lot of people are messaging me how they can start working with Lilith, and here is method how. So I channeled magical chant which does two things. First thing this magical chant does is it calls the most benevolent and approachable for beginners aspect of Lilith. The magical chant for calling this aspect of Lilith is Lilith Ama Teiteate, Lilith Ama Teiteate, Lilith Ama Teiteate. This magical chant also raises the sacred space. So my advice is first repeat this chant first a few times until you raise the sacred space, and then after you did so, use also this chant to call it upon. Now, how you can use this chant to raise the sacred space? It is really simple. Repeat the magical chant and focus on your intention to raise a barrier around your ritual space. If you can, visualize the white wind of energy blowing around your ritual space and protecting the area. If you cannot visualize, just focus on your intention and on feeling of protection. Once you are able to feel the protective wall around your space, then you should recite the chant with an intention of summoning Lilith upon. Now, what are the signs of Lilith appearing? It is really simple. It can vary, but for those who don't have astral senses developed, it's usually a pressure in the head, a weird presence in the room, oscillations of heat and cold in the body, sudden arousal in genital area. Sometimes it can be even as a sudden emotional outburst. It can be few knocks. For beginners, it's mostly a pressure in the room and pressure in the forehead. Now, when some of those signs appear and when you feel the presence of the spirit in the sacred space, then my first advice is for beginners who are reaching out to Lilith to introduce themselves to the spirit. Tell who you are, tell why you summoned, etc. My advice here is don't request anything from her materially for first few summonings. Use first few summonings to kinda introduce yourself to her and empower yourself. Request from her to open up your psychic abilities for first few summonings. This will enable you to more effectively communicate with the lady, as well as empower yourself in multiple different ways and manners, which are unique to her. My advice is also to not request first few summonings, anything related to your love interest or some sexual or erotic gain. If you wanna really build strong relationship with Lilith, and if you really wanna work with her for a long time and work with her as your guide, don't request from her anything for first 5 to 7 summonings. The only thing you should request is some kind of spiritual empowerment, or just introduce yourself to entity and tell her to empower you however she wishes. Because that's really fundamental foundation. If she sees that you are really involved in work with her beyond sexual gratification or money, she will show you the aspects of herself which are necessary for your evolution, and she will observe you as a potential ally and not as a food. Because if you really go pretty hard on her with material requests for first few times, in some cases she becomes really pissed and partially predatory. So I won't say that she will kill people who piss her off. That happens, but rarely. But she usually gets irritated and starts like giving them unpleasant dreams and shit, with clear, a little bit malevolent intent. So you kinda need to be respectful for future summonings. But she is definitely having a soft spot towards like single mothers or handicapped people and things like that. She's kinda protector of those marginalized groups, in my experience. However, in a case of mothers or a woman, she will usually take more masculine approach and kinda try to harden them and to work with them to forge them into stronger individuals, and that's sometimes painful. Now, another prerequisite for working with Lilith is to not give her blood or seed too early until you kinda summon her, or menstrual blood too early until you kinda summon her for a few times, really, and you kinda work with energy a bit, give her like blood and sexual fluids and shit like that, or food offerings, or flowers, or wine, shit like that, after fuse first summonings. For fuse first summonings, my advice is don't give her anything, just ask her to empower your ability to perceive her and to kinda introduce yourself to her. Giving her a bunch of shit immediately is not recommended, because whenever you are giving her shit, you are partially tapping into vampiric form of her, and vampiric form of her can be dangerous. This magical chant, which I recited in the beginning, specifically calls motherly aspect of Lilith, and motherly aspect of Lilith is known for giving energy. So for first few times, you call her up to receive energy from her. You call her up to introduce yourself, and in return for your introduction and dedication to her in those rituals, she will give you energy in her motherly form, which is summoned through the chant. And after you build up your relationship with that motherly form, then start working with her more deeply after those first 7 to 10 rituals. 7 to 10 rituals with her, done in the manner I provided here, should open you a little bit more to her influence, which will then make you more capable and able to presence her energy and to feel her power. My advice in regard to offerings are white roses, white candles, red roses, meat, honey, sandalwood, all kinds of blood and sexual fluids. And another offering she kinda accepts really dearly is jewelry or silver coins. You can also dedicate metal coins if you don't have silver ones. Her favorite days of the week are Monday and Saturday. Her favorite days of the moon, her favorite days of the moon are technically the black moon, or the new moon, as it is called, and she is more approachable for summoning in her destructive aspect during the waning phases of the moon, while in her more creative aspects she is more approachable during waxing phases of the moon. The full moon is the best if you want to summon her in her form of wisdom bringer and mother, while the black moon is the most effective when you want to summon her in her form of seductress or vampire queen. Now, there are some interesting side effects for work with Lilith. One side effect I noticed with everybody is increase in sex drive. Another side effect I notice is increase in dreams. Your dreams will become more vivid. But in a case of you having some kind of unresolved issue, mentally you will usually have nightmares. So after you have nightmares, when you start to work with Lilith, that's nothing bad. How do you know Lilith is attacking you and it's actually a painful nightmare? So if you kinda started working with Lilith and you fucked something up and you have a nightmare, but after that nightmare you wake up and then you kind of feel pressure on your chest and you can see a female figure on your chest or the shadow of that female figure or shit like that, you probably fucked something up. But this kind of fuckery happens pretty rarely, and I throw it really just as a warning for people who fuck up. But if you respect what I said in this video, and if you really do as instructed, there are really small chances of you fucking up. It is my personal opinion that altar to Lilith shouldn't be erected in the beginning of your practice. Dedicating altar to Lilith should be done after months or years of study under the Empress of the Night and the Queen of Demons and the first wife of Adam, because her energies can be really heavy for your apartment and the place you live. And if you open a permanent gateway, it can create some fuckery. So don't open and dedicate the portal to her and altar to her unless you really know what kind of energies are you wielding. There is also one really important warning for witches, and that's the fact that Lilith will not harm your children. If you are a witch and if you work with Lilith, she won't harm your children if they are born children. However, pregnant women should call Lilith up only if they have decent experience in working with her, because energies generated by Lilith can influence fetus in a negative way. Not because Lilith is malevolent, but because her energies are not compatible with energy radiation of many fetuses. And even if Lilith doesn't have malevolent intention towards them, sometimes intensity of Lilith presence can do some shit to pregnancy. So it usually doesn't end in miscarriage, as far as I know, but it can create some complications. So it is recommended for pregnant women without experience with Lilith to either call somebody up who is experienced in work with Lilith to ask her should she work during pregnancy, or don't work with her during pregnancy at all. But if witch worked with Lilith earlier and had strong developed relationship with Lilith, then work with Lilith is actually recommended during pregnancy, because if Lilith favors the female, she can use all of her power to literally guarantee safe pregnancy more than any other spirit I know of. She is really capable of protecting the pregnant woman she cares about. Now, as far as males are concerned, many males become dick obsessed and sex obsessed while working with Lilith. This can result in extremely negative consequence for the male initiate. He will really give too much sexual offerings to Lilith and one of her succubi, and what will happen is health of the initiate will deteriorate, and his spiritual faculties will deteriorate. Lilith will usually warn initiates and her male students to not express their sexual energy too much, and also to not repress themselves too much. But she definitely won't hold your hand outside of your pants. She is not that kind of entity, so if you offer her sexual energy, she will accept. But in case of many people, she actually warned them to not behave with their sexuality in not beneficial ways, but many people actually they don't listen to any kind of a warning given to them from spirits or people. So really, we shouldn't blame Lilith for idiocy of her people who are trying to reach out, especially many males. Also, over-sexualization of Lilith can severely damage one's ability to actually work with the entity. Sex is an important part of working with Lilith, but defining Lilith through sex is like defining a book of poetry through few verses, and she is much more than astral sexual object. She is something much more transcendental, much more powerful. There is also another warning I want to give, and that's the fact that Lilith tends to, in my experience, from other females, which doesn't have to be the case in every female witch who tries to summon her. Extremely intense sessions of summoning Lilith can create painful menstrual cycles, but she is definitely also capable of relieving the pain of the menstrual cycle. So that's also something you should know. And work with Lilith will kind of attract weird people in your life. Not necessarily dangerous, but weird. People who deviate from the societal norms in one way or the other. And it is my personal opinion that Lilith is not affiliated or associated with many male entity. A lot of people try to pair her with Samael or with Lucifer or with Satan. In my opinion, she has a relationship with many male entities, but she is not subservient to any of them, and she definitely doesn't accept orders. And yeah, do not command Lilith if you wanna have a beneficial life in general. Commanding Lilith without respect can create absolute chaos, which I do not recommend. If you use candles in your work with Lilith, as I recommended previously, the best candles to use are black, red, and white. In my experience, white give the best results, but some other people will disagree. If you want to really empower the candle deeply, you should call Lilith upon, then carve her name in a candle in Hebrew, and then ask Lilith to consecrate the candle. So that's how I use candles in work with Lilith. If female wants to give really powerful offering to Lilith, really, she should offer to Lilith her menstrual blood, because that's the most powerful offering female can give. There is one procedure for offering menstrual blood, honestly, and that's, if you are a male, what you should do is you should put the menstrual blood of certain female individual on your hands, and then like call it upon, and literally raise your hands to the sky and wait as Lilith drains the energy from your hands, from the menstrual blood on your hands, into herself. Another way for the females to do is a little bit different. So for the females, you should like carve her name on the edges of the plate, and then you should at the bottom of the plate draw her sigil, and then you should call Lilith to consecrate the plate when you summon her up. And then after you consecrated the plate, during your next menstrual cycle, put whatever comes out at the plate, and then cool it upon, and then offer the menstrual blood from the consecrated plate. So those are the instructions. I think that this kind of shit shouldn't be done by beginners. This is a little bit advanced, but a lot of people constantly message me about offerings and shit like that, so I think I needed to share this with the common occult broad public. So yeah, there are also 2 other magical chants I want to share with you in this video. All the 3 magical chants recommended in this video will be in the description of the video. So second magical chant I want to share with you in this video is Agrat, Beretia, Lilith. In this chant, and with this chant, you summon Agrat Bat Malat with the help of Lilith. Agrat Bat Malat is really good for beginners, and she is good for healing, initiation, imparting of visions, and general nurturing of new people in black magic. Another chant I want to share with you all is Lilith, Karina, Enaitu. Lilith, Karina, Enaitu. Lilith, Karina, Enaitu. So this chant is a little bit different. In this chant, you, with the help of Lilith, summon Qarin of whatever person you want to summon. Shortly, what Qarin is jinn who is born with the person and who follows the person for entire life. So this magical chant can allow you to call Qarin of whatever person you want. In order to obtain information about that person, you can call Qarins of dead and alive people. With this magical chant, just add the name of the person you want to summon Qarin of with this chant at the end of the chant. All of the 3 chants will be in the description of the video, and thank you for watching and your time.